Good evening. You are all set and ready to go.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Human and Community Services Committee for May 19th, 2025. I am Town Councilor Deb Poland. I chair this committee. We also have Town Council member Mary Fay, who's a member of this committee. And we have Town Manager Rick Ledwith, and we have our Library Director Laura Ermshire, and our Director of, I don't know, Human Community Leisure Services, Helen Rubino. So thank you all for being here this evening. We'll jump right into the agenda. We are going to have a change in the order. So first we will do the approval of the minutes, item 2A. So looking for a motion to approve the minutes from the March 17th meeting. Thank you very much, Councilor Fay, and I will second that. And any objections? Minutes are approved. Thank you. We're going to jump down to item number 4A, the library services update to accommodate a meeting conflict that Laura has. So you're up.
Thank you. And thank you for accommodating my schedule tonight. I appreciate it. I am, as always, happy to provide you library updates, but I wanted to start with some federal and state action about libraries that you may have been hearing about, and I wanted to give you some context for what that means for us. So the first is the IMLS funding. So IMLS is the Institute of Museum and Library Services. It's a federal agency that provides grants, policy development, and research. Last year, the Connecticut State Library received a little over $2 million from IMLS to fund state services. In April of this year, the state library was notified their grant for the current year was terminated by the federal government. The Attorney General for Connecticut joined the lawsuit with 20 other states. And a few weeks ago, a Rhode Island District Court judge issued a preliminary injunction. And subsequently, the state library was notified their IMLS grants were reinstated for this year. The IMLS remains slated to be fully zeroed out in the proposed FY26 federal budget. And currently there are multiple lawsuits pertaining to protecting the future of IMLS. So without IMLS funding, West Hartford residents will be impacted. While our library does not receive any direct federal funding, we do benefit from many state programs that are funded through this grant. Just a few examples are the Library for Accessible Books that serves visually impaired patrons. Our staff get professional development to keep them trained and up to date, and this is something we don't have to pay for. So in order to get that development, that would incur a cost to us if we can't get that through the state. And then I think the biggest impact would be the statewide delivery program. So this is what allows any Connecticut resident to check out a book from any library and then return it to any library. The state provides a delivery program that sends all the books back to their home libraries. And I think that's where most people would feel it. So as I said, the funding is restored now, but there's still a lot of doubt about the future. So I thought that you might have heard about this, and I wanted to give you a little context and let you know what that means for us. And I, of course, will keep you posted as I learn more information.
Yeah.
May I a quick question? You mentioned that, I know this, but you can return books at any branch regardless of where you borrow them from. Do you happen to have stats in West Hartford, how many, or just approximately how many we receive from other libraries? Because I'm just trying to put a thought behind how big is this issue for us?
Through you, Madam Chair, I can get that information for you. It's thousands of items.
Okay.
But I don't have the number, but we report it to the state every year, so I can get that figure for you.
Great, thank you. I didn't expect you to have it, but I was curious how I was size the problem, so thank you.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to move on to some better news for libraries?
Sure.
I am thrilled to share that the ebook bill, SB 1234, has passed both the Connecticut House and Senate. This bill addresses the high cost of ebooks and audiobooks that libraries are forced to pay in order to provide access to our patrons. You may have heard me talk about this in the past. Variations of a bill like this have been in the works for 3 years, and they've been garnering more support in the legislature as time goes on, and we're able to talk to more people about the effects of the issue. So the bill prohibits public libraries from entering into contracts with publishers that force restrictive terms that are gouging our budgets and wasting taxpayer dollars. The point of the bill is to force publishers to negotiate fair terms with libraries. They have refused to do so with individual libraries, and they've even refused at the state level to negotiate with the statewide consortium. This is despite Connecticut Library spending $6.5 million on ebooks and others. So this bill has passed, but there's trigger language in it that it would only go into effect if one or more states with a total combined population of 7 million people enact similar laws. So the idea is that this would be such a big impact to publishers that they would have to make a change, and they couldn't overlook a single state who's trying to make this change. So if you use digital content from the library and wonder why we don't have a title you're looking for, or why you have to wait several months for popular books, the restrictive terms are why. We pay 6 to 10 times more than the average consumer for books, and they basically evaporate. They are only good for either a couple of years or a certain number of checkouts. So we're constantly rebuying the same things. Librarians have been fighting this issue for over a decade, and we finally have momentum to make a change. We've been hearing from colleagues in other states that are working on legislation, so we are very optimistic that there will be some movement on this issue. And now turning to more local news, I wanted to give you some updates on West Hartford. So first up is we now have a new, more streamlined way for people to sign up for library cards. We have a new online card registration form. So new card holders will get immediate access for digital materials and can add their name to a super long wait list, or maybe get lucky and find one that's in. But the important thing is that when they need a card, they can get access right away. A lot of times people will be at home and want to use a database or check something out, and previously they had to make the trek into the building. So we've eliminated that step. But in order to check out any physical items, they do need to come in, and then we'll convert them to a full card. They can come into any library branch and show an ID, and we will upgrade them. And this meets our strategic planning initiative number 1, our goal to improve the patron experience while using library technology. Another new feature we have is with the help of a grant from the Library Foundation, we've converted the Bishop's Corner Story Room into a multi-purpose room that can now be used to be reserved as a study space. So this is similar to the 2 study spaces that we have at Noah Webster. This room is for individuals or small groups who want to study and meet for work. People can reserve the room by filling out the form on our library website, or they can call any library location and we can book it for them. Our Noah Webster study rooms are incredibly popular. We almost every day have to turn people away because they're booked at the time that they want them. So we know that this is a big need for the community. And it's wonderful to add another room to our options and also expand to the locations to serve the Bishop's Corner community. And this is in response to strategic initiative number five goal to provide flexible spaces for individuals and small groups. And other great news on grants. I'm very pleased to share that once again, we've been granted $5,000 from the Stanley D. and Hinda N. Fisher Fund at the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving for our Facts and Fun program. This is a summer event held in July with sessions of fun and engaging activities for children in grades 1 through 6. We split them into 2-week sessions. So the first 2 weeks are for 1st through 3rd graders, and then the second 2 weeks are 4th through 6th graders. Registration took place last week. The 4th through 6th grade session is completely full, but we do have a few spots remaining on the 1st through 3rd grade session, and anyone who wants to register can contact the Facts and Library. Another Facts and program we have is that we're happy to bring back Babies Love Books. This is a literacy program for immigrant families, caregivers, and children. Participants enjoy stories, songs, crafts, and playtime. All participants will receive new books to take home to build their own home libraries, and will register families for library cards if they don't have them. This is supported by the William Casper Graustein Memorial Fund, and registration for this one happens this Wednesday at Faxon at 6 p.m. And then I just wanted to highlight a few of our upcoming programs to let you know what we have in store. On May 31st, we are celebrating Caribbean American Heritage Month, and we invite you to join the West Hartford Caribbean American Heritage Committee to kick off the month with a performance by the Caribbean American Dance Company, followed by a screening of the award-winning documentary Diggers. This week of June, we have some things going on. We have summer safety tips. This is brought to you by the West Hartford Bloomfield Health District, and this is an opportunity to learn practical tips and recommendations that everyone should be aware of when it comes to summer safety, including proper hydration, storm preparedness, and dealing with extreme heat and more. We have a virtual program coming up, Simple Swaps for a Healthier Plate. You can join Jennifer Marks, a certified gluten-free health coach, to learn delicious, healthier recipes that will make up your taste buds and fill your plate with new ideas you want to make all year long. Making simple swaps and ingredients can grant big rewards for your health. This is an evening program, and you can sign up on the library calendar and get a link to the virtual program. We have a new teen group that's starting up. It's a teen writing group. They're meeting May 28th here in Webster. And we're inviting any teen creative writers to join. This is a new group where they can explore various genres, play writing games, and share their work. And for our youngest friends, we have a new craft lab program at Fiscal. This happens every Tuesday morning at 10:15, and this is for ages 2 to 4. They can experiment with various materials and strengthen fine motor skills to make super simple arts and crafts, followed by free play. And then we are kicking off our summer reading program with an event over at Town Hall where the Poop Museum is. I'm very excited about that. Yes, I said the Poop Museum.
You know what? Excuse me just for a second. Your audio cut out right as you said that. It was almost like you were being blooped out or something. The Poop Museum.
So that's it for my updates, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Counselor Fay, do you have any questions? You're muted.
Yes, thank you. No, that was an excellent update. I really appreciated that. And it just reminds me of when Katie was little. We spent a lot of time in the children's programs, and they're just absolutely fabulous. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you. I just have one question. Do you know if there are other states that are poised to pass similar legislation around the ebooks?
So I know states that the kind of coalition of librarians and staff in Connecticut have been working with are Massachusetts, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Hawaii. So they had kind of a summit last week where they've been sharing what's working in the different states. I don't know the specifics about where their bills are. I think they were kind of watching to see if Connecticut would have success that they could then point to say, we have a partner. If we can build on this, we can build momentum.
Thank you. All right, keep us posted.
You know, Counselor Poland, you raised the question in my mind now. I love a real book, and I still buy them and go to the library. But I am an adopter of the ebooks on Libby. Maybe there's other platforms. Do you anticipate the breadth of selections to increase? Because a lot of books that and not because you have them and it's on hold, they're just not available yet. So can you kind of give me a vision of where we're going with the ebook program? Thanks, Laura.
Absolutely. We do have another platform. It's called Hoopla, and that does have ebooks, audiobooks, comics, some short videos. So if you don't find something on Libby, it might be on Hoopla. We try to have different content, and it's a different pricing model. But the reason you're not finding things is because we can't afford to buy new titles. So nothing will change right now because we need the publishers to change the terms. But if we can get the cost to lower, then absolutely the selection. We struggle to keep up with the new titles that we know everyone will look for, the titles people request, and just managing the holds list. Even though you have a long wait, we're still buying multiple copies because we have like 400 people on the wait list for like the bestsellers. So yes, if we can actually like crack the nut of this issue and get the prices to come down, the selection will grow because the content is there. We just can't afford it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And again, it will never replace my love of a real book, but if you're remote or whatnot, it does come in handy to be able to get an electronic version. So thank you for that.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. And we'll see you soon. Thanks so much for your update.
Thank you. I'm sorry I have to leave. Thank you very much.
No
Thanks,
worries.
Laura.
All right, let's jump back up to all of the business items. So we'll start with item 2B, and this is a resolution accepting a grant from the state of Connecticut, Aging and Disability Services, Bureau of Aging, to implement steps to safety fall prevention program. Whew, that's a lengthy name of a state agency. I also want to just point out Deputy Mayor Winograd has joined us. So thank you. And I will turn it over to the town manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I will, we have 5 resolutions that we'll get through in short order. I know folks want to try to make it to the 7 o'clock meeting as well. So I will turn things over to our director, Helen Rubino Turco, who can give us a summary of each of these 5 resolutions. And our plan would be to put these on the agenda for May 27th, for the May 27th council meeting. Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you.
Helen?
Thank you. The first is a resolution to accept a grant. A couple of months ago, I should say, Liz Basinski, the Assistant Director of Social Services, wrote a grant to the state of Connecticut's Aging and Disability Services Bureau of Aging for a grant, and we did receive this grant. It is called Steps to Safety, and it's a program. It pays for this program, which is really about preventing falls. It's an education program. We partner with the fire department and other service EMT, emergency services agencies. And we offer this program to our local community, and this pays for the printing materials and supplies for community presentations, handouts, that kind of thing. But the gist of it is this will cover the cost of that program.
Great.
The next
Sounds good. I don't have any questions.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Councilor Fay?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one.
All right. The next one is a resolution appropriating some of the cannabis dispensary tax funds to support the Leisure Services Scholarship Fund. This is, as you know, 3% of municipal sales tax is collected from recreational under that recreational cannabis law. 3% has been, we have now 3 dispensaries. We collect those funds on a quarterly basis, and we can spend them on a variety of eligible activities. One of them is for programs for youth, and fortunately, the Department of Leisure Services, as you know, provides an important opportunity for youth to engage in supervised activities that positively impact their development through camps and other education programs. And the Leisure Services Scholarship Fund helps pay for low-income people to attend those programs. The scholarship fund is typically supported. In the past, it was supported by donations. We've also, and it continues to receive a portion of the proceeds from the road race, from the Celebrate West Hartford road race and the Celebrate West Hartford event. And also it has in the past also received ARPA funding because we did see an increase in demand during the pandemic, I should say. But it is in need of replenishing. And so we're requesting that $60,000 from the Cannabis municipal sales tax fund that we have be transferred to the Leisure Services Scholarship Fund. These are both funds that are, they are not they roll forward every year, so they don't expire at the end of a fiscal year. And so all we're doing is transferring them from one fund to another fund.
I have a
May I-
question about that one before you move on. Oh, go ahead. You first,
No, no.
Counselor Fay.
No, please go first. I'll go after you.
All righty. Thank you. How many weeks of camp approximately, and I know all the camps cost a different amount, but around how many weeks of camp will a $60,000 scholarship fund support?
So typically in a given year, we provide about $30,000 to $35,000 in scholarships every year. So that includes summer camps as well as some of the camps that happen during vacation. So whether they're April vacation or the winter holiday camps. So each eligible family, each eligible person is able to use up to $600 per person. There is a cap on that, and so they do. Also, when someone signs up and they're eligible, they pay a certain percentage. They pay 25% of the total, and that allows them to be committed to attending the program, and also it provides them with the relief that they need, because these are very low income residents, and it does provide them with an opportunity to participate in our programs. The camp, there are 8 weeks of camp, so each week, they can probably get a couple of weeks of camp out of it.
Okay. I think that's helpful. Thank you. Counselor Fay?
We must think alike. That was along the lines of my question. I probably would have asked it a little bit differently, but I got the answer. But I think what I heard was really positive in the sense that we're helping people, but we're also asking them to put some skin in the game so that the spots do go and they're filled. I think that's smart, because I'd hate to have people get these grants and then for whatever reason their child isn't able to attend and it took a spot of somebody else, paying or not paying. It doesn't really matter, but we do have finite spots. So I think that's great the way you're administering it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, so just to clarify for my own sake, essentially you can sign up for $800 worth of camp, right? And you're paying $200 and receiving $600 in scholarship.
Right.
So that might work out to a couple of weeks per kid.
Yes.
That's great. Okay, thank you. And this is a non-lapsing, so we would hope to use 30 to 35,000 this year, and then keep the money in the account.
Right.
As we move forward into the next year. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next one.
The third resolution is a little. It's not. We're not appropriating anything. We're just approving of something. This is a State of Connecticut Department of Revenue Services program, the Neighborhood Assistance Act tax credit program. They ask municipalities to advertise this program and to vet the applicants. And so what we do is we announce that this program is available. We provide, and really what this is, to remind you, is this program is designed to attract funding for tax-exempt organizations by providing this tax credit for businesses who make contributions to those nonprofits. And all we do is verify that the activity that that nonprofit is doing is eligible for the program. And it helps the state cut down on the time that it would take to vet these programs. So in West Hartford, our office advertises the program. We review the form for eligibility and correctness, and then we submit the form to the Department of Revenue Services by July 1st. And this year's solicitation resulted in 11 projects from 9 different nonprofit organizations. They have been our Luan Sika, our staff member, has made sure that all of these programs and their applications are eligible and that they provided all the information that they need. And so what we will do is prior to, and this one is for the June 10th meeting, because we do want to, while we're obligated to advertise it for 7 days, we like to do it a little longer just to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to understand that this program, what this program does. So we will set it for public hearing just before the June 10th town council meeting. It's typically, you probably allocate about 5 minutes for anyone who wants to speak on behalf of this, on behalf of the applicants.
Thank you. And then the next step would be after that, the town sends the information over to DRS. And then what happens to those applications then?
Sure. So what happens next is that the notifications are approved by the Department of Revenue Services, typically in August. And then they will publish a list of the tax credits. The DRS engages in, hold on, I'm just reading my notes here. If sometimes those applicants will have to file a report with us. So we also track ones that are a certain dollar amount, and they have to provide certification and proof that they did the projects that they were eligible for. That's about it.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilor Fay, Deputy Mayor Winograd? All right, let's move on to the next one.
Okay, the next one is, we've done 3. The next one
We're
is
on the Wolcott.
Oh, Grant, right. So as you know, we have been renovating the restrooms at the Wolcott Park. This is a brand new restroom for handicapped accessible rooms. And in order to make those, and this was funded by CDBG, because our community development block grant funds may be used to support improvements for people with disabilities. That's one of the eligible uses. So that's why this project was eligible for CDBG funding. The project is nearly finished, but we also have to do, after this project is done, we have to renovate the eastern parking lot. But until the parking lot gets done, we wanted to make sure that the restrooms were accessible from the existing parking lot. And so we just had to do a change order for $5,000 to add some a pathway to be paved, because it was mangled during the construction, and it wouldn't have been repaired until we were doing the parking lot. But that project isn't going to get started until the fall. So really, that is all that is required here.
Okay. Sounds like an easy one. And finally,
the last one is a combination of an update and also a request. So as you know, we've been, construction is starting on the Rockledge driving range. We do, as the bids have been coming in for various components of this quite complicated project, turns out to be quite a complicated project. It is, some of these bids are coming in higher than anticipated. And so we plan to draw on funds from the Rockledge Reserve Fund, which is paid for by the users of the facility. And it would go towards this capital project. As you may remember, during the budget process for the capital improvement plan, we allocated $100,000 from the Rockledge Reserve for improvements at Rockledge. And so what we want to do is increase that by $250,000, so that in all, we're going to be taking $350,000 out of the Rockledge Reserve Fund.
Wow.
And this fund is replenished by the user. So this is not, this isn't tax dollars. This is from funds that are collected, $2 of every cart rental and $1.50 of every 18-hole golf greens fee, and 75 cents of every 9-hole golf round is automatically deposited into this reserve fund. And then we draw on that reserve fund to make improvements at the golf course. So this is obviously a time of need for that event, for that project to get the funding that it needs. And so that's why we're requesting this.
Thank you. Any questions on this one?
Yes, may I?
Yes, you may. Before you do, Councillor Fay, I just wanted to let folks know that Mayor Cantor has joined us as well. Welcome. And now I'll turn it back over to you, Councillor Fay.
Yes, just really, thanks, Helen, for that. What is the total size of the reserve fund now, and minus the I guess 350 altogether? What will the balance be remaining?
There'll probably still be about $20,000 in the reserve fund. It had about 370 the last time I checked. And but I don't know when the last time, you know, it gets replenished every time someone plays a round of golf. So there's funds that are going into it on a regular basis. I just haven't, that's about where it's at right now.
Thank you. Do you know what the run rate is per year of how much? So I'm just trying to gauge, like, how long will it take to replenish the 350? Now, granted, this is a one-time use that's rather large, but I'm sure there's sprinklers and things that have to be invested in a long time. Can you tell me how much goes into that fund every year?
I don't know exactly, but I do know that, for example, there is a maintenance budget that's in the operating budget of Rockledge. So in the past, we've drawn on this every other year, and we've drawn a smaller amount, but it has built up to a point where we have an opportunity to pull it out. It's not exactly a rainy day fund, but it is something that we use from time to time to do improvements that are a little bit bigger and larger than might be covered in the ordinary operating budget. As you know, the Rockledge Golf Club operates in the enterprise fund, and so it is intended to cover its costs. And it really, particularly in recent years, has been generating enough revenue to cover its costs. But this is an opportunity for us to do this driving range in the fastest way possible at this point. And so we do need these additional funds to be drawn from this reserve fund.
Okay, thanks. If you could just let me know, because I'm sure there's going to be other needs, whether it's the pavilion or something else that's, or maybe that's not what you guys call it, but the snack shack. There's other structures. So I'd be very interested in what the run rate is on the revenue side to replenish it. And I think that's great that we, you know, it's from multiple sources where the revenue comes from, but that would be helpful. Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you. Any other questions on this one? And Helen, just to clarify, I mean, this is going to help invest in the driving range that we think is going to be a revenue generator for the enterprise fund, right?
It's going to be a significant revenue generator, and we do anticipate that the cost that we've invested into building this will be made back within 2 years. So we are optimistic that it will be able to help pay for itself over the next 2 to 3 years, depending on, you know, where it all shakes out.
Great. And an estimated time of completion?
We're still working on that. There's a lot of moving parts, but we are still pedal to the metal to get this done in the right way, but as quickly as possible.
And to follow up on that, Madam Chair, we would have a more specific date when we adopt this resolution at the council meeting. it is an active construction site right now, which is, if folks are there golfing, they can see it's been, it's fenced off now, it's staked out. There's a couple pieces of heavy equipment there, so we are excited to get a backhoe in the ground and get this thing moving as soon as possible and quickly as possible. At the same time, Helen's working with her team on replacing the nets, which is part of this project as well. So while the construction is happening, where the pads, where the cover the tees structure will go, at the same time we'll be replacing the nets and the poles. And if there's a delay to run the utilities down off of South Main Street, our goal would be to get the range open to at least be hitting balls as quickly as possible. Earlier in the summer as possible. If we don't have the utilities to run the TrackMan right out of the gate, then we would at least have the range open while they finalize the utility run from South Main. But I know that's happening as we speak as well. But we're counting on Eversource and MDC to assist us with that timeline. So, but we're excited about the future of Rockledge, and as Helen said, it is an opportunity to supplement our revenues pretty significantly down there while providing a great experience for our residents and visitors who visit Rockledge. Thank you.
Well, we're all excited about it. So thank you for that update. All right, so move on to communications. Are there any communications for this committee?
Nothing this evening, Madam Chair. We could probably just run right into Helen's.
Let's go into
update.
the staff report, leisure and social services update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The highlights are, I just wanted to remark on Veterans Memorial Skating Rink. As you may know, the Conard Boys Hockey recently won their championship, and they are going to have an escorted parade from school to the rink for the unveiling of their championship banner on May 31st. So that will be coming up in a week or so. Several big events have just passed. The annual figure skating show was held on this past Saturday at the rink. At Westmore Park, unfortunately, our Learn to Fish program had to be canceled because of the rain, but they are in full swing with their eco-venture programs and other school groups that are visiting Westmore Park right now. But they're also expecting some baby animals that they borrow, and then they give them back when they grow up. Pigs, lambs, and chicks. So you can check that out. Our senior centers recently published their summer bulletin, and I know the mayor is expected to attend the Cheers to 90 Plus Years event, and that's on May 29th. So we're delighted to have the opportunity to salute our 90 plus members of our community. I also wanted to remark on some sustainability projects, one particular being the tree canopy study and the tree inventory. So we're still waiting for our final drafts of the tree canopy study to come from Planet Geo. This is the company that we hired using ARPA funds to compare what it looked like in 2010 with what it looked like in 2023. And as expected, we've lost a lot of trees. And it's a big number. It's more than 20% of our tree coverage was lost during that period of time. If you don't factor in the MDC and Elizabeth Park, which we don't have any control over. The MDC lost trees, but they grow back. So their net was pretty much zero. And Elizabeth Park did actually lose a lot of trees as well because of disease and storms. But again, we sort of take those out of our equation and we focus on what we call the West Hartford net, which is where we live, where we work, where we go to school. That relative change is, as I said, it was a drop of 20.6%. So obviously we picked 2010 because it was prior to kind of the big Snowmageddon storm in 2011 that you might remember, where Halloween was canceled. So we did have had some dramatic storms. We've also had more invasive insects. So all of our ash trees are now dead. Many of our hemlocks are dead. There's a beech leaf disease that's killing beech trees. So we're losing trees due to disease and invasive insects. That's a major thing. But we also have an aging tree stock. And what I mean by that is this was all leveled ground. And there were trees that were planted when our community was developed in the 20s. So for example, in my backyard, in my neighbor's backyard, there's a large pin oak, beautiful pin oak. That's what we call a first generation tree. It's 100 years old. We have a lot of these trees that are all aging. They're all at the end of their lifespan, all at the same time, because they were all planted when our town was developed. So that was a long time ago. So for example, if you take the snapshot of Wolcott Elementary School, lots of beautiful big trees there, but it has very few young trees. So when those old trees die, we need to plant younger trees that are going to grow up and replace them. And that's where we're behind the 8 ball. The other thing to take into consideration is that there have been more aggressive pruning and cutting has happened. And so if there's a big storm and a tree falls, people go, I want to take all the trees down, because it's seen as a liability. And what we want to remind our residents is that trees are also an asset. And so we want to understand, yes, we want to plant the right tree in the right place. So we don't want to plant a large pine tree, white pine, right next to power lines, because that doesn't make sense, because if a branch falls, it might hurt the power lines. But we can plant smaller trees, or we can also curate them and, as they grow, so that they don't grow into power lines. So again, more right tree, right place goes hand in hand with kind of addressing the aggressive pruning and cutting that we've seen. What's interesting is the right of way. The right of way is it's the most obvious thing that you see when you drive down the street, is those trees that are planted in the right of way. It accounted for a very small percentage of our tree loss, but it's also one of the ones that's the most obvious, right? Because you see it. Many communities in other parts of the country, their right-of-way strips that's the strip between the sidewalk and the street, are much wider, so they can accommodate a tree. But in our town, it's fairly small, and that's too small a distance to plant a big tree, because the roots would just, wreak havoc with the sidewalk, and also kind of competing with another important initiative, our Vision Zero. So we want to plant trees, we want to plant native trees. We also want to keep our streets safe. So there's a couple of factors at play. So what are the next steps? Well, fortunately, we've got a very dedicated group of tree huggers, including myself. And we are working with Public Works, Leisure Department and Public Works are working to develop our areas of priority and species targets. So again, this is all about John Phillips and his mantra, which is right tree, right place. So the next portion of our tree efforts are with the tree inventory. And we have scores of volunteers that are going around and measuring trees, measuring their circumference, at chest height, and recording them onto an app that we are renting or subscribing to from at Planet Geo. And the technology is amazing, but we're doing a spring kickoff of. We had done some work this past fall and into the winter, but it's a little bit hard to identify trees by the bark. So we're doing a spring kickoff meeting this coming Thursday at 5:30 at Westmore Park. Everyone is welcome. A basic knowledge of like the difference between an oak and a maple would be helpful. But again, it's not, no other experience is necessary. You don't have to understand how to calculate tree width, or tree diameter. But we'll also train people on how to use the app. And then the next thing is we're going to have a booth at Celebrate West Hartford. So the leisure services booth with Westmore Park is going to be all about the Westmore Arboretum and about the tree canopy and about how residents can get involved with including the trees on their property into our tree inventory. And that will also tell us, oh, you have a lot of oaks or a lot of maples, a lot of red maples, and what you really need are hickories or sweet gum. So what we want to also do is make sure that we have a diverse species of trees in our neighborhoods, as well as different ages. And that's also addresses what's going on in West Hartford Center, where we've lost, all those trees were taken down on LaSalle Road as part of this reconstruction. But more trees will be planted to replace the trees that were there, and different species of trees will be planted there, not all the same tree. And that's something that helps our trees remain resilient, is they're planted correctly, and they're all not the same. So if one tree is hit by a bug, it doesn't go to all the other trees because it's hitting all the same species of tree. So I am very, hats off to John Phillips for being a really willing partner in this endeavor, and also for his knowledge of how to do this right. So we're working with, as I said, to develop some priorities and species targets, and more to come. And I'm happy to answer questions about that project. On the social services side, I just want to hats off to the Rotary Club. In late April, they delivered $10,000 worth of food to the food pantry. They had Conard students that that volunteered their time to help load the food onto these trucks with the police and bring them to town hall and unload them. It was a really wonderful experience, and I'm sure for them as well as for our volunteers and ultimately our residents in need. And other program notes, rent rebate program is in full swing. This is a program that we partner with the state on, and we process those, we help applicants. We've helped 165 applications as of about a week ago, which has brought more than $89,000 in funding back to residents in need. So that's a wonderful program. Our energy assistance ends at the end of this month. Dial-a-Ride program registrations for the following year, starting July 1, are being sent out this week. There's no changes to our program. And I know there's a full slate of prevention events that are coming up that we've been publicizing. And that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions?
Just may I?
Yeah.
Ms. Pullen, what's the time? Well, I guess you don't have that yet. For putting in the new trees, replacing, not the center, we've got that, but what's the time frame for your project with the canopies and replenishing lost trees?
So it's going to be a long process. The planting process will be probably, what we'd like to do is plant a lot in the next 5 years, and then take another view of our canopy to see how we're doing. It may be another 10 years before we do it, but because those trees need a chance to grow up. But our emphasis will be to try and plant in the neighborhoods where there's the least amount of tree canopy coverage, right? That makes the most sense. But a lot of our activity will also be to educate our community about the importance of trees. So the majority of trees that were lost were on private property. We don't have any control over that. But what we want to do is educate our community and remind our residents that trees help lower the temperature. They help provide shade. They help provide oxygen. So we are so fortunate to have the MDC close by. I spent both days this weekend, I was at the MDC bird watching with Hartford Audubon. And it is so fantastic that we have that so close to us, but it's not close to everyone. And it really is important to focus on the neighborhoods that have the least coverage.
It helps with water on the lots too, right? On groundwater, the trees. It
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. The trees also help with cooling of groundwater on ground and things like that as well.
The main thing there, Mary, is that you're right. It's that they help prevent stormwater runoff, right? So they help keep the ground stable when there's a storm. And when you just have, that's part of the beauty of the trees also, is that they help with managing our stormwater, in general, stormwater management.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anybody else have questions? If not, I think we are almost at the end of the agenda. Are there any requests for future agenda items? And our next, I guess not, our next meeting is going to be on June 16th. We will see you then. Without objection, meeting is adjourned at 6:55 p.m. Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
everyone.
everybody.
Have a
Take
good
care.
night.
Good
Bye.
meeting. Thank you.
Bye all.